Morning. Well, it's Friday, March the 20th, early in the day. It's been a pretty interesting week. And my mind, as ever, is revolving around geospatial. But I think some of the challenges that we've been facing have very much a geospatial component to them, and potentially a place where geospatial comes in to solve those problems. So geospatial to the rescue is this presentation. And I'm going to talk a little bit about digital reality, sensors, multidimensional data, very briefly. So, yeah, it's been a wild week in Salt Lake City. We've not only experienced, as with the rest of the world, this coronavirus pandemic, and people are at home working and we're all in social isolation. But on top of that, in Salt Lake, we've had a series of earthquakes, which in 30 years of living here, I've never experienced before. We had a 5.7 in midweek, and then aftershocks on and on through the day. So it's been a very interesting week overall. Geospatial, again, has been in the forefront of my mind. How these events have been impacting people and things. Let me just step back for a minute and talk about things I write about quite a lot. We're going through a digital revolution, and the part of that world that I inhabit, and many of you watching this do, is geospatial. Geospatial is sometimes a slippery term, but I've defined it there as data that's associated with a particular location. Location-based experts who work with location data. I think the geospatial digital revolution has really been driven by two key factors. We now have a tsunami of new geospatial data. So only two-dimensional data that we've worked with for a long time, but now we're getting 3D data, which is being very LiDAR, etc. So we've got masses of that data type, and we've also got 4D data, and the Internet of Things becomes important there, where we can actually monitor the movement of people and things, and track things as well. So we've got this real-time data feed that's overwhelming us almost. The other piece that we've begun to see in geospatial is a revolution in the technology itself. And I'm going to be showing you some examples in a moment of those multidimensional data sets and how we can actually visualize them and analyze them using web technology. So I'm going to show you three examples in a moment, three geospatial solution examples. First one's going to be showing you two-dimensional data. Then we'll move into 3 dimensions, and then we'll move into 4 dimensions as well. To help demonstrate the power of geospatial technology, I'm going to show you a short video which walks through some examples, some use cases of the application of this technology. And again, we're going to talk about this in a multidimensional way. We're going to start with 2-dimensional data. In this case, we're looking at a demo in Chattanooga of crash data. You can see we're adding heat maps, we're displaying point data on where collisions are in Chattanooga. We're filtering that data. We've got a time slider at the bottom which shows crashes over time. We can also filter by collision type. 2D data is really good at demonstrating patterns and isolating where particular problems are. We switched to a 3D demo. In this case, we're looking at floodwater in Houston. What I've just done there is I've added 3D buildings to this application. So we've got floodwater, and we can now see color-coded the most affected buildings by flooding. The red buildings are the most affected by that particular event. And now we switch to another 3D application. This one's around the coronavirus. And we're showing here the confirmed infections across the world. And we're using bar charts in the 3D part of this application just to show where the most affected areas are. A really great way to make that data come to life. Let's look at 4D real-time data. This is a short video showing aircrafts flying over the US. There are thousands of aircrafts moving here. And again, in the sense of IoT, we can now not only track enormous amounts of data and show its movement, but we can also monitor information as well that's coming in real time. I hope that helps to paint the picture about how we can use geospatial technology and different data types to help tell stories, essentially, solve problems. So we have a very, very powerful technology that we can leverage. Let's just move into the next phase of what I think is where we're taking geospatial to. And it's really an extension of what I've just shown there. I'm just going to show you very briefly the two definitions. First one is a digital twin, which we hear a lot about and is a very confusing term. And most importantly, what I mostly talk about is digital reality. So a digital twin, by definition, and I've got it on the screen there, is a digital representation of a real world object or system. So think of something in isolation. We can think of a building. We have architects that work and folks that work in CAD. They'll design and build out a building, and they'll get to see that in desktop software in isolation. They can look at the outside of the building. They can look at the inside of the building. There's no real world context to it. It's just an object in isolation. So we can mirror, we can recreate a digital version of things that we have in reality. But digital reality takes it to the next step. Digital reality is a spatially enabled digital twin, or an actual world object or system. This is where we're dropping these digital twins into a real world context. So we can actually start exploring the world in a digital way. We can see 3D buildings. We can see movement and track vehicles and people. We can monitor things that are stationary and get alerts from them. So let's just look at that a little bit more. Again, I'm just going to step through very quickly a couple of videos which walk through the world of digital reality. I wanted to share two very quick examples of digital reality through a very short video. Let's start with a 2D, 3D perspective. We're going back to our Chattanooga example that we showed earlier. So we're looking at things in 2D, we're filtering data. Now we found an intersection which we think is particularly problematic. Maybe it's number of collisions, maybe it's number of fatalities. Let's provide a new perspective on that intersection. Often engineers will drive out to the intersection, but we can represent that digitally in a digital reality environment. You'll see here we've now got a LiDAR representation of that exact intersection. So we can see problematic areas of its safety we're concerned about. We can also see where collisions have happened, actual collisions. And we overlay GIS data in here as well. So we can start really narrowing down the problem using digital reality. This is a second example. This is showing real-time data. So these are buses in San Francisco. You can see that they're moving. We're tracking them in real time. Now what we've done here is we've added a three-dimensional element to this. So this is digital reality again. So we can now see those buses moving as if we are looking down from an aeroplane at San Francisco. And again, you can see the movement, and we can click on one of those buses and see information about that bus. So we're collecting that information real time from the bus itself. The amazing things that we can do with digital reality when we combine data sets in this way. I hope the videos I shared here give you a sense of what we can do with geospatial technology. I do strongly believe that we're going through a time where geospatial technology and geospatial experts are super valuable, and applying geospatial technology with skills to answer problems, and we are facing many problems at the moment, is really, really important. And I strongly believe that the geospatial community needs to step up and help with resolving some of these problems in the near time and particularly long term, since we don't know where all these things are going. I'm really interested in any feedback you've got, any thoughts you've got. So again, this is me just mulling over our world and the importance of the work that we do and how we can help. I'm Matt Sheehan. There's my contact information. Feel free to reach me. Thanks for watching.